Looking back, my introduction to Mario says a lot about what I value in games generally. I played titles like Super Mario Advance, Luigi's Mansion, Super Mario Sunshine, and of course, I played Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. These were the circumstances which saw me fall in love with Mario in my younger years, this series which seemed bold and unpredictable. For a lot of people, The Thousand Year Door is a symbol of that time period, a shining example of the creativity inherent to the Mario property. For many, it was also a reminder of how far Mario had fallen in times since, regurgitating the same tired tropes and mixing in an overbearing sense of bland safety you'd typically expect from a corporate mascot. Princess Peach was always captured, Bowser was always the villain, his Koopalings usually his minions, and you'd set off through a visually distinct Mushroom Kingdom equivalent. Mario has such an excessive level of quality control that you could play virtually any one of his games and respect the craft on display. These games were no different, as they had fun levels to jump through, pleasing music to listen to, and nice vistas to look at. It was Mario doing what he did best as adequately as humanly possible. Nowhere was this homogeneity felt more starkly than when Paper Mario hit the 3DS. Sticker Star is very easy to poke holes in. Everyone and their mother has done it. It's the fourth entry in a critically beloved series from many people's childhoods, including my own. It was a series that introduced many people to the wonders of RPG storytelling through a relatively simple set of RPG systems. Not only did we see Bowser and the Mushroom Kingdom fleshed out like nobody had ever seen before, we traveled to new lands, met even more characters, and made precious memories. One could say that Paper Mario is primed for nostalgia, what with its storybook theming, which is why Sticker Star felt like such a betrayal at the time. It simply has no interest in following those same rules. You explore a version of the Mushroom Kingdom you'd see in a new Super Mario Bros. Game, which further fueled the brand apathy people were feeling around that time. For some bizarre reason, it was also infested with nameless, featureless toads, and every character had to fit that generic mold. Bowser wasn't allowed to speak, there were no interludes with Peach or Luigi. It felt a little like all the flavor and personality had been sucked away. It's not really a surprise to me that fans reacted the way that they did, or that I reacted the way that I did. Mario and I have a shaky relationship on this channel. But here's the thing. I played Sticker Star again recently for my own reasons, to really see past the point at which I dropped it out of frustration. After all, could I really, truly know Paper Mario without finishing it for myself? When I did, I expected to agree with most of the criticisms people had of it. I was bracing myself for a boring, frustrating entry in a series I adore, to finally figure out exactly what it was that made me drop it all those years ago. What I got surprised me. I kinda enjoyed myself. And I don't really know how to feel about that. Before we dive in, I have a question for you. Are you listening to this video with headphones? Nice studio quality, perhaps wireless Bluetooth ones. Maybe, for some reason, you're watching this video in VR. Sounds kinda crazy, but statistically, at least one of you out there probably is. If so, I want to show you something. The Mod Mic Uni 2 by Antlion Audio, who sponsored this video. The Mod Mic Uni 2 is a microphone which sticks to practically any flat surface, be that the side of your headphones or your VR visor. It pops in and out with ease using a magnetic connection, and it has a 3.5mm aux cord offering compatibility with a wide variety of different input devices, including PCs, laptops, gaming consoles, handheld devices, and so much more. It has a noise rejection cardioid pickup pattern, offering high quality and clarity in one small package. In fact, I'm recording this very segment with this baby. It comes bundled with a 2-year warranty and unmatched customer service. Antlion's nothing if not flexible, however. They also have the ModMic USB 2 available for purchase if you're looking for something with a little more quality, mixing in broadcast qualities alongside the cardioid pickup pattern, as well as increased compatibility with USB-C devices such as the Switch and Steam Deck right out of the box. If you're interested in either of these products, use the link in the description to get your hands on the ModMic Uni 2 or USB 2. Again, use the link in the description or on screen to pick yourself up the ModMic Uni 2 or USB 2. I want to preface right off the bat that this isn't necessarily a persuasive piece. I'm not here to defend StickerStar, per se. People's feelings on StickerStar, for better or for worse, have been made already, though I am aware of the arguments made against it and will reference some of them in this video. My goal is more so to confront why I feel the way that I do about it. What was it about playing StickerStar which turned me around on it? And what does that say about the kinds of game I enjoy? Seriously, not looking for a fight here, though I'm not naive enough to assume that it won't happen anyway. You might be surprised to learn that my favorite part of the Paper Mario games isn't the turn-based battling or the lovable stories. It's being plopped into a world and scouring it. Those discoveries might be colorful dialogue, a helpful item, a game-breaking badge, or even just the way forward. I don't think enough is said about how much StickerStar succeeds in carrying on at least part of that spirit. Like the previous titles, it takes inspiration from Mario's platformers for overworld exploration, allowing you to run and jump over obstacles and enemies. Though it employs a world map which resembles those titles as well, the levels are far from simply aping the feel of a Mario platformer. Instead, each level is its own puzzle to solve, a vignette not unlike the chapters of previous games, broken down into handheld chunks. Progression isn't usually about getting to the end of a level. Some of them might be focused on that, with more battles and platforming in between, but the majority of them are centered around puzzle solving or exploration of some kind. World 2 is about finding tablet pieces in each of the levels which allow you to construct the world boss's baseball stadium. The tablet piece hidden in the first level sits under some quicksand between two cacti, but you would never know to try it without a hint given to you in a later level. These levels are meant to be visited several times, acting more as locations than straightforward jaunts. They use things like secret exits from the Mario platformers to promote this playstyle. The third level of World 2 is a series of branching paths which lead to many different items and stage exits. Exploring them all is key to progression not only in this world, but in others as well. One level connected to this one is beset by a massive sandstorm, which you need to clear out using a vacuum. This vacuum is found hidden in Surfshine Harbor, a level connected to the main town, Decalburg. The puzzle here is built on real-world logic. There's a massive plug next to a sand tornado. I had the idea to use the vacuum to suck in the vortex, and what do you know? It works. It's a progression system very similar to point-and-clicks. Find the thing that solves your problem. I grew up playing edutainment adventures like Reader Rabbit, eventually moving to games like Sam & Max. Played the hell out of the SpongeBob movie game on PC. Yeah, that exists, by the way. I think this foundation is why I appreciate adventure games so much, why I have a love for series like Ace Attorney, and why I can't get enough of puzzle visual novels like the Zero Escape trilogy. I love to explore for everything it might entail. The joys, the disappointments, everything. I just love the feeling. Almost every level here has a secret door with a thing hidden behind them, so there's always something to satisfy that urge. Though your sticker inventory will fill up fast holding onto secret door stickers, the payoff is often both easier battles and a wider access to puzzle-solving tools, especially for boss fights. StickerStar brings back the turn-based battling of its series' roots, without experience gain or level ups. Instead, you use a consumable resource to battle. If you're without stickers, there's nothing you can even do without running away. This means battling is a kind of puzzle, and all of the stickers you pick up during your treasure hunt are tools to solve those puzzles. This system retains the strategy of previous games, where some attack types are ineffective against certain enemies. Since I never knew what battles would ask of me next, I tried to keep a wide variety of them on me at all times, while keeping room in my sticker album for thing stickers and secret doors, which made inventory management feel like a worthwhile consideration. This is probably the most Resident Evil-esque Mario we've ever gotten that doesn't star Luigi, and I'm not just saying that because the Boo Mansion is a direct homage to it. You know, I always wondered why the stapler in Origami King was a dog, and now I finally get it. You may not gain experience points from battles, but it retains much of what made turn-based combat fun in the original, so I often chose to take part in them anyway, for the fun of it. Some of these action commands are harder to nail than anything in the rest of the series, especially the hammer, and getting an excellent that lets you hit multiple enemies at once is still satisfying. Mario's approach to turn-based battles has always been kinesthetically rewarding, but Sticker Star takes this approach to the next level by leaning into its paper elements harder than any previous title. Thousand Year Door already introduced many paper-esque transformations with some delicious animations, and it's as if Sticker Star wanted to make that its core identity. Though its choices in biomes might be on the bland side, it's hard to deny the craftsmanship that went into every inch of its design. Clouds hang from prop sticks, the floor is made of cardboard, enemies crumple up when attacked, stickers take a great deal of force to peel off. I would dare say that I have an appreciation for it which almost rivals the kind I have for Kirby's Epic Yarn or Yoshi's 2 craft-based adventures. The series was already committed to emulating a pop-up storybook, and I see this as a visual evolution of that desire. In fact, I see this desire reflected in the changes made to the Thousand Year Door in its remake, to give an authentic flair to its every minute detail. As much fun as attacks felt to perform, I also treated them more like puzzles, trying to find the fastest way through them to attain that perfect bonus for extra coins, which is basically how I approached battles in previous titles anyway. Running away is a valid option. You're even allowed to run away from boss fights, which lets them get away with having trickier solutions. Technically, you can stock up on extremely powerful stickers to fight any boss the traditional way, should you wish, but there's always a better method. You can fight Pokey by brute forcing him, but waiting for him to spawn all of his segments and using the baseball bat or newspaper roll will instantly win you the encounter. In this way, fights are entirely in your hands. I didn't know what the solution was for the first major boss, so I simply whittled him down with all the powerful stickers I'd been hoarding and felt satisfaction anyway. The whole sticker album is a tool, after all, so really it's up to you which approach you favor. It helps that so many fights have different solutions. You may think you require the sponge to beat Gooper Blooper, but you can actually use the puff pad from a later world, since every thing is part of an umbrella type, which all do more or less the same thing. Alternatively, you could use neither and hunker down for a tough battle. Even outside of their puzzle-solving utility, I loved collecting a new thing, often just to see what it would end up doing. I tried out the boombox and learned it would buff my attack power, so I almost always had it in my album for massively increased damage should I ever require it. If you're able to use a POW block to give enemies the crumple status, they take even more damage too, which is often the best way to take down bosses without their specific thing stickers. The sponge is supposed to be used against Gooper Blooper to defend against his ink, but it's also a shield that blocks all incoming damage, making it useful for almost every required fight. The fishhook does have a use against the Cheep Cheep, but it's also able to net you really powerful stickers when you get the timing right, and not so useful ones when you don't. Actually made me laugh the first time I used it. Probably my favorite instance of using thing stickers for problem solving was against Mr. Blizzard. His fight is a gimmick where you need to expend his massive health bar by emitting heat to melt his protective armor. At first, I used the oven, since it seemed like the most obvious solution. However, the way the fight works, you can't instantly win with it. So I browsed through my album for other potential solutions. Since World 4 was snow-themed, I was already carrying around a lot of potentially useful stickers. Earlier in the world, I ran out of fire flowers, which proved to be necessary, so I stocked up on them in a hidden shop in World 1, and it planted a seed in my head that heat-emitting things might be required at some point. I checked through my album and tried a bunch of stuff. I used a hairdryer, a lighter, a flashlight. All of it worked to whittle down his massive health bar. Then I looked at the magnifying glass I'd been carrying around for most of the game, and finally realized what I could use this for. Magnifying glasses produce heat when capturing the sun at a specific angle, and so I used it, and what do you know, that was its battle property. It was a fantastic moment, and one that eventually secured my victory over Mr. Blizzard. This is why I describe the battles in Sticker Star more like puzzles, and of the same variety as ones you'd find in the newer 3D Zelda titles, though perhaps with less grace. As much as Kirsty might let you know there was indeed a better sticker to use, it doesn't change the fact that the game wasn't designed to require it. These fights could have easily had invincibility or infinite health until you brought the required item, but they weren't made that way. Through that lens, I simply see Kirsty's taunting here as an acknowledgement that you were able to get through the problem in your own way, potentially using one of the 64 different thing stickers that all have different effects. The strength of the battle system of the first two games was their customizability. Badges let you build out your team in a lot of unique ways, giving you special attacks or properties that might synergize with each other. I think the sticker album provides a lot of that same versatility, even if it lacks some individual expression. In some ways, I think a level of restriction is probably healthy. I love Thousand Year Door to death, but the ways in which you can very easily break it are slightly disappointing to me. Get a handle on super guards and jump timing, and you can create some heinous combinations. One of those let me kill the final boss in 3 turns with relatively little effort, thanks to the busted properties of the infinite jump. It's part of the game's charm, but it does make it feel like a relatively easy adventure when you focus on badge points. Sticker Star's approach was to make everything a valuable, finite resource, including the infinite jump. While there are ways to reproduce the infinite jump, it's a very scarce resource on any regular playthrough since it's essentially a guaranteed 100 damage, though it can go beyond 200 depending on buffs and status effects. I noticed while fighting Petey Piranha that the infinite jump I'd been hoarding might be a quick solution to the battle, and is probably what you're intended to do. However, I also knew that I had a lot of hop slippers and clone jumps to make that happen too. All I had to do was survive longer and I could save the infinite jump for the final boss battle, which shredded his health bar and was part of the reason I was able to take out Bowser's final phase in a single turn. In that sense, the way I was able to break the game was by saving resources in a smart way. It felt like problem solving. The benefit of having no experience points is that you can quite handily do worlds out of order, provided you're able to solve these problems. I was quite taken aback by just how much freedom you have to leave problems for later if you're having trouble with them. I ended up finishing World 2 after 1 and 3 since I was having trouble locating the tablet pieces, and I really appreciate that leaving the puzzle for later was a viable solution. The Boo Mansion and Yoshi Sphinx levels were of particular note for me. They are big levels you need to explore every inch of, with some puzzles that test your knowledge of the space. The Boo Mansion felt a little like a Zelda dungeon, where you had to take pieces of the overworld and move them to other rooms while you hunted for boos, Luigi's Mansion style. It even has a secret door in the back connected to Decalburg, and you'd better believe I had a Dark Souls shortcut moment when I discovered it. Basically every room of this game has a secret hidden somewhere. Behind the environment, on a side wall, under the floor. None of the Paper Marios before this, besides maybe Super, were quite this fun to explore. It feels like you're well rewarded no matter what. Coins to buy powerful stickers and reacquire powerful things from the Shady Shop and Decalburg, permanent health upgrades or entirely new things to experiment with in battle. Hell, sometimes your reward is simply the unexpected. You might hit a switch only to set off a Rube Goldberg machine that opens up a shop of useful stickers. You might scale a tall pyramid only to find a baseball stadium at its peak. You might ride a ski lift up a mountain only to find yourself waiting in line at a theme park. You might encounter a Gooper Blooper who attacks to the beat of his boss music, hidden in a shipwreck. Sticker Star gets a lot of hate for its choice in biomes, but I truly do believe there's something fun to discover in almost every level, and a true feeling of progression in every world. You see the Yoshi Sphinx in the distance as you pass the gates into World 2. You get lost in the forest in your search for Wiggler's missing segments as they dot around every which way. You descend the jungle falls on your raft, only to float into some ancient ruins set to a contemplative, melancholic piece. This particular level is really a fairly simple one. You make your way through some ancient ruins, moving pieces of the environment around, solving a few navigational puzzles, and waking up a chain chomp at the end. Yet I found myself smiling, humming along to the tune, gladly combing every inch of it for secrets. As I continued to play and enjoy myself, appreciating more and more, its reputation remained in the back of my head. So much vitriol toward it. Endless think pieces about how horrible it was, how it ruined a series. Notions I once agreed with, which I can no longer picture. What happened? Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door released again this year, and I don't really know how to feel about it. It looks a lot like the game I played when I was a child. It sounds vaguely reminiscent, and the text I'm reading feels pretty similar too. Yet it is unmistakably distinct. A different frame rate, completely redone graphical work, new music across the board, and an updated translation. It's tempting to look at the changes made here and call them improvements. It's on the Nintendo Switch, so there are resolution updates, accompanied by new assets and textures. There's an increased inventory limit, more fast travel pipes, and new super bosses. They've also restored Vivian's original story, bolstering her status as a trans icon in what might be the perfect reversal on people who cry incessantly about censorship. All of these are fascinating changes, but you'll notice that they're very incidental. They do absolutely alter its feel, but they don't go far enough that it becomes unrecognizable. I think most people would consider this a remaster, even though it has quite literally remade a majority of its assets and rewritten its text. As you would expect, this shiny new coat of paint means that it can be sold at full price and billed as entirely new, which is reflected in the title lacking any indication that it's a remake at all. It's just Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. In that sense, I enjoyed revisiting it, but it obviously couldn't give me very many new ideas or feelings to grapple with that rose above a nostalgic, fuzzy feeling inside. Playing Sticker Star challenged me quite a lot. I started out playing it for footage in what was to become a wholly different video, and it eventually morphed into me playing more and more and more of it, constantly second-guessing the fun I was having, wondering why I wanted to keep going. There was an unmistakable, indescribable sense of joy that I was really confused about, especially since I could still see all of the things that once bothered me. Its attempts to tell a heartfelt story fall completely flat. Kirsty is fairly unlikable, and her sacrifice feels extremely forced and confused. Though it has a commitment to the unpredictable, much of it is bound by what's expected of Mario, unwilling to go beyond it to such an extent that Bowser had to be permanently silenced. Experimenting with thing stickers for puzzle solving is sometimes discouraged since there are very few correct answers much of the time, and getting the answer wrong means that you've just completely wasted your thing. As much fun as I had trying to figure out the final boss gauntlet, the several attempts I had also meant slogging my way through the Kamek slipper fight again, and watching the cutscenes associated with them, which started to wear on my patience. It has a lot going against it. It is nowhere near one of my favorites. But then, what happened to the days where I could simply enjoy something? I feel that we live in an age of masterpieces and disasters. We hold artistic works to ever-growing standards, narrowing the margins of success and failure. I love pondering what's meaningful to me. That's why I make these videos. I play games, think about how they impacted me, and write about those feelings. Often they are strong feelings, since those happen to give me the most to think about. It's probably why this phenomenon occurs, because we all want to have those feelings to dig through. The Sticker Star failure narrative practically writes itself. It released after Super Paper Mario, the most not Mario game to ever grace the franchise, and ushered the series into a new era that often went against the precepts of those original games, reinforcing the lessons taught by the new Super Mario Bros. Games, that Mario needed to be strictly defined. And so, everything it did would be put under a microscope. It would share the blame for that cataclysmic shift, and everything new it wanted to try would be relentlessly lambasted. I took part in it gleefully, even growing hatred in my heart for Shigeru Miyamoto, a man I scarcely knew anything about, because I was upset. I was angry. And I don't think I ever truly knew why. The irony of coming back to Sticker Star, giving it a true chance, is that it doesn't have a hateful bone in its body. It doesn't feel spiteful towards what came before. It simply feels like it tries its best to continue forward in a different direction, one with entirely separate strengths and weaknesses to what came before. That hatred I once held was gone now. It was a signal maybe the things that once mattered to me no longer matter. You know, sometimes I think back to the video I made about Super Mario Galaxy 2. I don't feel ashamed of it, nor do I feel regretful. Those were an honest reflection of the feelings I had at that time, and I still think it probably helped a lot of people to come to terms with their own feelings on the game, however they felt about it. Yet, I don't know that I still hold to those same beliefs so fervently. I do prefer the approach Super Mario Galaxy took, and I do wish its sequel decided to prioritize different things, but I do think it's really fun. That's what Mario exists to be, right? He is the essence of fun. He almost invented it for video games. Sometimes he is willing to go beyond it a little bit, but those exceptions to the rule are never entirely defined by their deviations. Ultimately, all of them retain a core essence of simplicity and fun, to varying degrees. In attempting to think about what we would have done differently, we refuse to accept what actually is. I would have most definitely handled Sticker Star differently, and yet the beauty of art is that you get to experience the work of a person or group of people that might have a wholly different perspective. Maybe these people saw the series differently, saw different strengths in it. Maybe the people making Galaxy 2 saw different strengths in the original. Doubtless there will be many who lose respect for me after this, who think that I've gone crazy, or that I've changed so much they don't even know who I am anymore. And that's the beauty of this channel too. I won't be the same person forever, and neither will my work or the opinions I espouse in them. I'm always gonna change, search for new perspectives, and challenge myself. Here, you do not have the satisfaction of constancy. Who knows, a new Mario and Luigi's on the horizon, and it looks awesome. Maybe Paper Mario has a return to form in store for the future. I'm not really banking on it. I think you should all probably just go play Bug Fables, but I've litigated that one already. In the meantime, I think I'm gonna play Color Splash, and I think it'll probably be fun.